All right, y'all. Rank and File Bitcoin podcast. We're doing it live. We're covering the circus that was the crypto reserve tweet that came out, or Truth Social, or whatever. And if you're joining us, drop some comments. I'm Don Bay, Proof of Workforce. Let's get right into the circus over the weekend. That was the strategic crypto reserve. And let's break down kind of what this means moving forward. So we got a clip for you real quick from the Squawk Box, and they got quite the laugh and chuckle from the
President
weekend's
Trump
events.
announcing the creation of a strategic crypto reserve. Mackenzie Sagalos joins us now with all the details. Mackenzie, it's interesting because in this Truth Social post over the weekend, he cited his January executive order, and that seemed to ignite the rally.
No, it did. And this is really building upon what he said in January. He says that this new national crypto reserve will include Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a trio of high volatility tokens, Solana, XRP, and Cardano. He's calling it a move to elevate the industry after what the president described as years of corrupt attacks under the Biden administration. Now, unlike traditional reserves of gold, petroleum, or grain, commodities accumulated for strategic security, this reserve would more closely resemble an active portfolio of speculative assets. The shift in language from stockpile to reserve also suggests the U.S. may actively acquire and manage cryptocurrencies rather than just holding seized tokens. Now, the crypto market, coming off its worst month since 2022, reacted instantly. Bitcoin and Ethereum surged over 10%, while
Instant. All right, Jacob. So takeaways from that. Hate to burst your bubble, no pun intended. Spoiler alert. But I would say that a strategic Bitcoin reserve, or any, purchase by the government of such a reserve is highly unlikely. Let's look at why. First of all, you had a tweet or a post. I don't know what to call it anymore. A post, a tweet, an X. It's just something. But a trio of highly volatile tokens to elevate the industry. I don't know when strategic reserve or holding something on the balance sheet went from being as a point of national security to elevating an industry, but that should let you know right off the bat that this is highly unlikely. In addition to the fact that the trio of assets sounds very much like 3 apartment buildings that get opened next to each other, right? Like here we present these new buildings. This is Solana, Cardano, and Ripple are 3 buildings here. It's just like this is madness. So not to say that a Bitcoin strategic reserve is impossible, but takeaways from this is don't pin your hopes and dreams and aspirations on a national Bitcoin reserve. It may happen in some capacity, but we know that for funds to be used, United States funds to purchase something for a reserve requires Congress. So we saw this go out over the weekend. We saw retail jump on it, and then we are back. We ran up 10K candle, and we're back down to the 85, 86 range. I would bet all of Joe Carlasari's money. I wouldn't do that, Joe, but if I did, that the ETF outflows were pretty strong today, and that Wall Street was in on this little circus dance in dumping on retail. So the takeaway: don't get dumped on, be long-term Bitcoin, and don't buy into these hypes and posts and these things that come out on the weekend thinking that you're going to be ahead of whatever inside thing is happening. Another thing, I posted a quick tweet that mentioned a potential like strategic play here. I thought it'd be funny if the Dems came out with a Bitcoin only policy stance announcement, just to add some chaos to this, because again, Trump is saying that he's pro-worker, pro-wage earner, and supports working Americans. This ain't it. This is not it. Putting out a post over the weekend about Ripple, Solana, and Cardano, and potentially retail going to buy these, thinking that they're going to explode, and knowing that I don't know how Congress would ever approve such a thing, is not pro-worker. It's very anti-worker, because workers work incredibly hard to get the money that they need. So to lure them into purchasing these hype coins, meme coins, whatever they are, and not investing in a long-term digital commodity. It's not pro-worker. So I think it'd be hysterical if the Dems kind of pounced on this and really took a Bitcoin only stance and focused on education for workers and wage earners as far as Bitcoin, the network, its long-term potential. Shifting gears here, SEC announced dropping of its potential in principle to dismiss its lawsuit against the exchange Kraken. So big win for Kraken there. The dismissal with prejudice means the case can't be brought up again, and there's no wrongdoing from Kraken. I only bring this up quickly because you all remember when the SEC filed its original cases. I think Coinbase was included, Binance, Kraken. The hype cycle then was like, this game is over. And here we are with the president of the United States mentioning putting these speculative crypto tokens on a strategic reserve, which again, these tokens are not Bitcoin. So we always have to differentiate those. And the SEC's dropped its case. So again, another takeaway why not to try to play the hype and don't try to time the market, because you're never going to be ahead of whoever has the info on the inside. Shifting gears once again, I saw an interesting piece from BP about them pulling out of renewables. We have a clip for you very briefly here regarding this recent news that the company BP was shifting its investments back to fossil fuel and oil and abandoning its commitment to certain investments in renewable energy. Jacob, if you have that, let's run that video
Sources
right
say
now.
BP's chief executive is to scrap a target to increase renewable generation 20-fold by 2030 and will instead return its focus to fossil fuels. BP's shares have underperformed rivals in recent years, and the oil major has already dropped its target to cut oil and gas output by 2030. On Wednesday, BP will hold a capital markets day. The sources said CEO Murray Auchincloss will make public plans to divest assets and cut other low-carbon investments to reduce debt and boost return. BP declined to comment. According to those familiar with the matter, BP will also ditch a target to reach core earnings of $49 billion this year, and instead set an annual percentage growth target. Across the energy
Okay, I
sector,
can't see the
major
clip, but
companies
Jacob,
that
you can
move
cut it if it's not cut already. And I'm sure y'all can find that somewhere. But if it didn't get to it, many companies that were in low carbon investments have now shifted back to fossil fuel and gas. Part of that was with the administration change and new incentives and a rebound in fossil fuel and oil. What's the takeaway here? You have a ton of institutional money, sovereign wealth funds and pension funds that have massive commitments to renewable energy investments. As companies like BP start to pull out of these investments, what is going to happen to these investments and the potential of return in the transition of energy from fossil fuel to renewable energy? I mentioned that post where I had to be interesting for the Dems to take advantage of Trump's missteps in getting involved in meme coins and crypto tokens and take a Bitcoin only stance. Well, here's another situation where Bitcoin, as we know, is continuing to pursue stranded energy. And I think it would be ironic if Bitcoin ends up being an industry that can maintain these investments from going upside down. I don't know what's going to happen in the energy sector. I'm sure it's a lot more complex than I can wrap my head around. But I do know that Bitcoin does like renewable energy, and it will use excess wind and solar power, hydropower. So as these companies yank out their investments, potentially there's an opportunity for Bitcoin miners to come in and say, hey, we'll help you keep your renewable energy investments profitable, and we will help you move renewable energy forward. Again, another thing that's just staring right at the landscape, and certain political parties can take advantage of this or not. We'll see what happens. Lastly, where the states at? Let's pull up the state map. and see where the state bills are. Again, we mentioned it with a strategic reserve. How can you have a national strategic reserve when no states hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet? And how can you have a state balance sheet with Bitcoin when no municipalities hold it? I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. Utah still in the lead. Arizona looks like they're in their second committee hearing. Texas recently got through committee. I think Texas has the highest chance because, again, the adoption in that state is pretty strong. It has a strong Bitcoin industry. Fort Worth was the first city to mine Bitcoin as a municipality. So there are some stakeholders there. Interesting article out of Texas, real quick, Jacob, that we saw. Not the most, I would say, not the most friendly headline. Looks like we're pulling that up right now. There it is. From bullion to Bitcoin, crypto reserve is the latest fiscal folly in Texas. Justin Miller throwing shots out of the gate. But I think he wrote a very fair write-up on this, even though the title is a little negative on Bitcoin. He talks about the bill, where it's at, how it's moved through the process. He talked about it coming up directly in the hearing, that why would the state of Texas hold a digital commodity on the balance sheet when it doesn't even hold gold as a commodity? And that was brought up and discussed, and really just kind of points out some of the things that we mentioned earlier in this discussion about why a national Bitcoin strategic reserve seems like a wild outside shot. So this was a great article. I encourage everyone to read, and maybe Texas will get the bill across the finish line. But I don't know. We got a lot of challenges coming up, so we shall see. So that's the state overview. A lot of stuff going on. I know a lot of people always reach out and try to figure out what the hell's going on. Why is Bitcoin going up? Why is it going down? Welcome to Bitcoin. It's always going up and down for whatever various reasons. The industry's large now. The market cap is right. It was a $2 trillion market cap. We dropped some, but there's going to be a lot of things that factor into the price of Bitcoin. But this weekend was a good example on why you should not try to trade Bitcoin. Again, sitting president of the United States pushed a post out about a strategic crypto reserve with 3 tokens that he picks, goes back, says, oh, yeah, don't forget Bitcoin and Ethereum, of course, are going to be in it. What the hell is going on? Retail jumps, and then retail jumps, Wall Street dumps. So there's always folks with financial interest in the short-term trading of an asset. We're not on the inside of that information, so don't try to trade Bitcoin. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this weekend. Long-term, Bitcoin adoption is going to roll on. And guess what? Like many of you, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I was just in Kenya, and the folks that are building on Bitcoin, they don't care if US adopts a strategic reserve or if Texas passes a strategic reserve. They're going to do what they're going to do. Other nations are going to do what they're going to do. And we know El Salvador is going to keep stacking a Bitcoin a day. They would love for the United States to fumble the rock with these kind of circus acts happening, so that they can continue to stack in something that they believe in will be a long-term benefit for the country and its folks and citizens. So I'm Don Bay. This is Rank and File Bitcoin Podcast. A couple of thoughts here today. Continue to learn about Bitcoin. Stay humble, stack sats. Y'all know the usual. Don't trust, verify, all the good ones. And don't get caught up in the hype. We'll talk to you soon. And thanks for joining. And please sub. But we will put that signal over the subs. So don't worry. But sub if you can. All right. Later.